let's stick to discussing the auto space and what this whole tariff business with the US could mean for Indian companies. US President Donald Trump has said that Harley-Davidson could not sell their motorbikes because of high taxes in India. And I mean, India has kind of taken reciprocal measures as well by reducing some of those taxes. We've started seeing that. Is there more coming our way? More clarity will emerge on the 2nd of April when we get exact tariffs from the US, reciprocal tariffs, and then it's going to be the negotiations whether India will start lowering some duties on, perhaps even full imports, EV imports. Will Teslas come in at lower duties in the Indian market? That's the question. Kranti Sambhav, managing editor at Overdrive, and Vinkesh Gulati, member executive committee at FADA, are joining in with some thoughts. Gentlemen, great to have you on. Kranti, that question first to you. Are we ready for the Teslas to roll in at much lower duty than what fully imported vehicles currently, attract?
Good morning, Surabhi, Nigel, and Prashant. Yeah, so I guess this is what we have been expecting or waiting to happen. Teslas, they start coming to the Indian market. Last year, if you remember, we had lots of discussion on the, plant, establishing plants and giving some concessions for the EV makers, but that has not materialized. So now we should wait for the kind of rebates or discounts or the kind of relaxations we can see for these manufacturers, because Tesla is something which is still not very sure how it is going to enter the Indian market. But for Harley-Davidson, yes, that could impact a little bit, but most of the products which we saw they're selling, last year at least, this was produced with joint venture between Hero and Harley-Davidson. So I'm not too sure how much impact are we going to see on Harley, but yeah, for Tesla, I think we are all keeping an eye, and I think if we get some, if Elon Musk comes this time or he's serious this time, maybe we'll see Teslas as well. But I also feel that whatever rebates or whatever duty cuts we see for electric vehicles, other manufacturers are also going to be benefited from them.
Okay, all right. Fair point. Let me ask Vinkesh as well. Vinkesh, correct me if I'm wrong on the current duty structure. I think right now it depends on the cost of the car that you're importing in the country. And I think if the cost is higher than 40,000 USD, then I think the duty can be as high as 100%. Tell us what the latest numbers are right now. And again, that same question, if those duties are slashed, the way we've seen with bourbon whiskey, right, there is negotiation going on. So if import duties on EVs are slashed, then is it not going to be a problem for a lot of the Indian incumbents? When look at M&M, we just got to know about their booking numbers, which are good. But if you have these Teslas coming in at lower duty, then what?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. You are right. The import duties are 100%, but basically those are in a category where they say that when a fully vehicle comes in as, and it actually covers only 2,500 vehicles if you want. If the duty goes less if you are doing below 2,500 as a trial. And this has been always, but practically when we are talking of US, we have seen that a lot of US companies have not been successful in India, like Ford or GM or whatever. So obviously whatever tariff discussions we are having will be majorly benefiting electric vehicle. Like Kranti said that Harley-Davidson issue is not big today because Harley is already in India through Hero, and they are doing good in the below 350 segment with the products they have starting to launch with Hero, and we are seeing tandem on the ground. You are right, EVs if Tesla come, but on the other hand, I think it would be good for India. See what happened. When Apple came into India, the mobile segment in India had matured itself. It has grown like hell. And it is helping India also as a consumer story also, and make in India an export also. So if Tesla actually comes in India with the reduced duties and the support what today they are needing from the Indian government, it will actually help the EV scenario or the manufacturing scenario of India. Not taking any name of one OEM or two OEM, they all will benefit because their supply chain will improve. And as of today, EV in the passenger vehicle is just below 2%. And I feel we are all gaining towards 30% in 2030. Without a big disruption, I don't feel that we'll be able to reach that. So maybe this is the kind of disruption Indian government or an Indian public needs to get that EV adoption in a faster phase and an economical way also. And as of today, we are not sure if Tesla will really come below 30 lakh range or not. If they come, they'll obviously disrupt it. But if they come on the higher range also, they'll disrupt the supply chain side, not the retail side.
Okay, all right. So the point that you gentlemen are making is that, let the tariff barriers go. And if these imports do come in, if at all we have full cars being imported, perhaps even that to an extent, but it helps the overall ecosystem. Kranti, let's talk about the other piece now. What happens to automotive component makers? In both ways, I guess for the auto component guys, life is very, very confusing right now because one, you don't know how much tariff barriers are changing here for imports coming into India. And then a lot of these companies are very big exporters as well. And there doesn't seem to be too much clarity on what happens to the exports that are going to the US. Companies like Samvardhana, Motherson, and so many others, I mean, Bharat Forge, etc. So what do you think is the overall auto ecosystem in for as these negotiations go on? And what do you think the Indian industry would perhaps want to lobby for or ask?
Right now, Surabhi, what we are discussing or whatever conversations I've had, first thing is, as you mentioned, is the kind of clarity of the process in the sense what is going to be the final rate of tariff or on what components, because if we talk about India-US relationship, what Vinkesh sir just mentioned is the number of vehicles from American companies are like really low, but and even Indian cars or Indian motorcycles, the exports is negligible. I mean, some of the manufacturers are exporting, but yeah, very nominal. But what we're seeing is that biggest chunk is the component business. But now, right now, all of us are basically sitting and waiting for the clarity. What kind of rates are we looking at? And we also feel that everyone is also working towards a mechanism where they can if there is a tariff going exports from India, you're going to see some kind of tariff. They might channel it via their other plants with whatever global plants or assembly plants or establishments they have. So what I feel is right now everyone is waiting and watching and trying to figure out. For example, if I talk about the OEM again, Royal Enfield also exports some 650 twins to the US, but they also have a plant or assembly plant in Brazil. So it'll be interesting to see how and what exact number of products or items are tariffed. And right now, I think none of us have that kind of clarity.
Okay, all right. Final question, Kranti, before we let you go. What about Mahindra and Mahindra's first day, first show, Valentine's Day? They launched the EVs and bombastic. What a response they've got. 8,000 crores of value and number of vehicles, more than 30,000 units. Wow. What do you make of it?
It because from last since I drove the car, after that the kind of questions I was getting, that we get lots of questions, which car should I buy, and most of the times the people customers, they expect me to talk about the ICE version, so I suggested ICE version. But I saw after the announcement from Mahindra, they started asking whether I should go for that or not. So what BE6 and XUV9 has done, I think that they have kind of changed the mindset of fence sitters. So this number is very interesting. And as Vinkesh sir said, this is not only going to help Mahindra, this is also going to help other manufacturers, because I think this number is 30,000 numbers, even if there is a gap between delivery and booking and delivery, which generally happens. I think the mindset, what Mahindra has managed to do, they have kind of changed that. I mean, at least they've started changing that mindset. And I guess this is good news for EVs, good news for other manufacturers as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so normal and logical, a brand that you know and perhaps trust and perhaps you've driven before, and then for a couple of lakhs more, if you have an EV version, it's a very natural question, I guess, like you said, Kranti, that, should I just change over and move from ICE to EV? Thank you very much for joining an interesting conversation. Let's see how some of these issues unfold over the next couple of weeks. We'll take